Hello, and welcome to My Community. I'm Fred Albert, the host of My Community, and we're so glad that you're with us today. Today, in our studio, we have as our special guest Mr. Jason Quintel, who is the president of Union Mission of Charleston, West Virginia. We are glad that you've joined us. This show, of course, is brought to you by the Library Television Network. Jason, welcome to My Community, and thank you so much for being our guest today.
Thank you so much. It's quite an honor. Appreciate it.
Well, we want to talk about what you do. What job do you have with the Union Mission?
I get to be the CEO of Union Mission, and it is Union Mission has a broad footprint over the valley and even outside of the valley. We obviously, our name, We Feed People, we do feed a lot of people. That was meant to mean that we feed people in many different ways, and I'll explain that here in a little bit. But our warehouse, just in 12 months alone, 150,000 pounds through our family service coordinators goes out. Just through family service alone, we send out 150,000 pounds of food every single year.
That's a lot of food.
That's a lot of food.
It is.
And we were running numbers just last week with my director of the warehouse, and I almost fell out of my chair when I saw that 150,000 pounds of food through family services goes to help West Virginia people. That's an honor to me to be a part of that.
I know that the Union Mission is 113 years
Yes, sir.
young or old.
Yes.
Started in 1911.
Yes.
It was actually started in Fairmont, West Virginia, I believe.
No, it started here in Charleston.
Oh, did it?
We started the mission up in Fairmont.
Okay.
I don't know how many years later. Forgive me for that, but we actually Union Mission in Charleston started the Fairmont Union Mission.
Okay, I'm glad that you clarified that. I remember many years ago meeting a gentleman by the name of Clyde Murdoch.
Yes, sir.
And he was quite well known throughout Charleston area for his leadership in the Union Mission. And at that time, they had a children's home.
Yes, sir.
Which I understand no longer is in operation.
Correct.
As part of the Union Mission.
It's no longer in operation, but I will tell you this, Fred. I meet people all the time where they will say, hey, I was a part of that children's home.
Is that
I
right?
actually, a couple years ago, I did a funeral for a friend of mine that we actually went to St. Albans High School, graduated together.
Okay.
And after that funeral, the funeral was for his father. And after the funeral, I was with the family, and the mother came out with her adoption papers from Union Mission.
Oh, wow.
And I've known these people my whole life,
Sure.
and I had no idea that she came from that home, and it's just an honor meeting these people.
That would be very touching,
Yes.
I'm sure.
Yes.
So let's talk about the Union Mission 113 years today, or
Yes.
this now. What has changed?
A lot. In 1911 and those times up to, alcohol was the big thing that you were seeing on the streets. And now, as we all know in West Virginia, heroin is a horrible, horrible problem.
Sure.
The addiction, we are still number one in overdose deaths,
Unfortunately,
in the
yes.
country. We are battling that every day along with other great organizations throughout West Virginia. We feel like we get to stand side by side with a lot of great organizations and fight in this battle for our West Virginia people. We are seeing kids suffering because of food insecurities, because of addiction. Mom and dad are struggling in addiction. Grandma and grandpa now are struggling in addiction, and the kids are suffering. We have stories where kids are pocketing food in their local middle school or elementary school to take home to baby brother and baby sister because they don't have anything to eat at the house.
My goodness.
Well,
that's actually, and I didn't mean to interrupt you, but that's how I heard about you or got your name.
Mm-hmm.
Was I heard you on the radio talking about the food insufficiency and
Yes.
the real need to
Yes.
support places like the Union Mission,
Yes,
who
sir.
is providing a tremendous service to our families and to the broken families and to the children. So I appreciate the fact that you are doing that.
Thank you.
You were talking about, when I interrupted you, about, we find children pocketing food to take home to feed maybe younger
Yes.
brothers or sisters, or to make sure they have food over the weekend.
Yes.
That is such a, I don't know, it's just hard to wrap your head around. Here we are in the most wealthy nation on earth. That shouldn't be. But thank you for the services you're providing to those children.
It's an honor. It really is.
So you mentioned all the food in the warehouse. Where does that come from?
Oh, my
How do you
goodness.
get it there?
We've got a great partnership with Mountaineer Food Bank.
I was wondering if you worked with Mountaineer Food
Great
Bank.
organization.
Yes.
They provide a lot of food, not just us, but many organizations that help in this battle against hunger. Through that partnership, we've got we pick up from organizations all over the valley, and Little Caesars. We have more Little Caesar hot and ready pizzas than you can even imagine. We're just able to give those out liberally to people that may need. But we also have really good food from Kroger, other places, meats that we can pass out. We've got great relationships with Gordon Foods.
Okay.
We can purchase particular foods that we may need. We get a lot of produce, fresh produce that we can give out as well. My goal is not just to send out carbohydrates and things like that. We want to do sustainable. We've got a sustainable agriculture program as well, and we want to be able to pass out really good, sustainable food to our West Virginia people, especially those that are battling addiction, because their body needs that to help that fight in addiction. So it kind of goes hand in hand there.
So along with that, if someone is in need, how do they get in touch with the Union Mission, or how do you find out who is needing the food, and how does that happen? Do you have social workers or people who make referrals? How do you find them? How do you find the need?
Most of them find us.
Okay.
Being around for 113 years,
Sure.
a lot of people knows about what we do in Union Mission, up Mission Holler. It used to be called Mission Holler here in Canal City. But we get calls daily of people that have family members that are going through hard times. We get calls daily from churches that say, "Hey, we know this family and they're working, but they're still not able to make ends meet. Can you help out?"
Right.
We deal with house fires all the time. People that have lost everything, and try to get them back, or help get them back on their feet, along with Red Cross and other great organizations. Excuse me.
So if someone is in need, how do you get the food to them? Do you make the delivery, or do they have to come pick it up? How does that work?
Yeah, so let me say, if someone is listening to this or watching this show, if you're in need, please call 304-925-0366. You can ask for our family service department, and they will get an appointment for you right away. Or you can go to our website, www.wefeedpeople.com.
And I think we'll put that up on the screen, of course, but you do have a Facebook page.
We do.
And then there's the website that
Correct.
they can also go
Correct.
to. But not everyone has accessibility to
Yes.
the technology or the device to get on there. But so hopefully there are ways to find out.
Yes.
I know that you also, in addition to the food that you provide, you have a thrift store.
We do.
And people can make donations to the thrift store.
Yes, sir.
People can come and make purchases at the thrift store.
Yes.
How does that work?
Yeah, so a little bit of my background helps here. So I come with a background from Ralph Lauren. I used to work as a sales associate there with Ralph Lauren, not in the store, but an actual, the administrative part of it. And being able to, so people, they donate to us every single day. And it's amazing what the people in the Kanawha Valley do for us.
Right.
The amount of clothes, and we call bric-a-brac, it's household stuff and things that come in. That allows us to put that in our thrift store. That allows us to put that in our boutique. And it allows us to pay the light bill. It helps us to pay the water bill. We have to continue on as a business, and any business has costs and overhead, and we've got to be able to knock that down. So the thrift store really helps us move forward in that way.
And the thrift store, do you take furniture and?
We do. Just about anything. Okay. We from clothing to bric-a-brac items throughout your house to furniture. We have people donate cars to us that we then will give out, or to people. I mean, from top to bottom, we've helped in some way.
And the thrift store is located on South Ruffner or
South Park, 700 South Park Road.
South Park Road. Mm-hmm. You can make the donations there. Mm-hmm. Do you pick up?
We used to.
thought
Cost
so.
of fuel and lack of staff, we don't do that any longer.
Okay.
No, not so much anymore.
All right. So people bring the products there to the thrift store and donate them. And the hours of operation are mostly through the week and on Saturdays?
Monday through Friday, 9 to 5.
Okay.
If in emergency situations, we always come out and help anytime.
Great. In addition to that, you have the men's shelter.
We do.
And the men's shelter is located near the Capitol Market. Let's talk about the men's shelter. What do you do there?
So the men's shelter is kind of the backbone of Union Mission. It's what Union Mission started as, going all the way back to Pat Withrow, our first
Pat
presidency.
Withrow, yes, that's another name that I remember. I never
yeah.
met him, but I remember that name, Pat
Yeah,
Withrow.
so it started out as a little soup kitchen in Charleston, and then morphed, and they finally were able to buy a 2-story home on, I think it was on Summer Street back some time ago, and it's kind of always been the backbone of Union Mission, has been that men's shelter home.
All right.
Today, we work really hard in this area to help men off the streets develop goals, handle barrier removal type things, driver's license, birth certificates, fines, jobs. We try to move into the area to start immediately, because our goal is not to keep them there. Our goal is to move them out. And so, in the last 6 months alone, we've and my numbers may be off a little bit. This is from my last meeting, men's shelter meeting that I had, but we're over 20 men that we've moved into active housing just in the last 6 months alone.
Oh, that's successful.
It's great. I'm very, very proud of our staff over there.
Yes.
Very, very proud of that.
So if a man needs to have shelter, does he just show up on your doorstep and say, I need some place to stay? And is there a time limit? Do you give them a certain period of time to be in a program, or do they have, I'm sure there are guidelines, but
Sure. Oh, yeah.
they have to be drug-free or alcohol-free while they're there? And
Yeah, we everybody makes a mistake, right?
Sure.
And as long as someone is trying to move forward and not necessarily staying in that active addiction or actively using alcohol or consecutively breaking those policies and procedures that we do have in place for safety, we want you to stay there.
Sure.
We want you to get a little bit of what we're teaching there, so you can move forward and move out and get back to either family. And that housing could be moving back home to other states where they're from, back with their family, could be recovery, could be back to their family here in the state of West Virginia. And so we want you to get to that area. We want you to get back to being a member of society.
Absolutely. So how many beds do you have there at the men's shelter?
That's kind of, it's a great question. When
Or
I came,
what's the capacity, I guess?
so capacity at one time was 75 men, and we just, my mind was changed a little bit from a director that I had there, that he would tell me, Jason, you got to understand, on our staff, we have 7 staff members here, and if we put 55 to 70 men in here, we can't handle that many,
Right.
and we can't work one-on-one with these men, and we can't
That would
properly.
be very difficult.
And so he educated me, to be honest with you,
Right.
and taught me that, hey, smaller is sometimes better because you can do the one-on-one work.
Yes.
Usually we have anywhere from 25 to 30 men within that facility, comfortably.
Okay. And they have meals there, they have a place to sleep, a place to get clean. Is there counseling available to them from your staff?
We not necessarily from Union Mission staff, but we do have a Union Mission Behavioral Health Center that I started about 4 years ago now. We have licensed professional counselors that can help in that area for sure.
Is that located there at the men's shelter? Or
We
another
have in the
location?
past we've had offices there, but lack of staff. We hope to move back there, but our office is on 700 South Park. It's actually 705 South Park.
So is there job training available for the gentlemen who are in the shelter?
Yes, and that is something that's we're continually working on. So we want this period, like within our recovery, we have a vocational training first 6 months.
Okay.
And we have people from the communities coming in and teaching all kinds of different vocational type skills, resumes, and setting on interviews and things like that. And we do the same thing with our men over at the shelter as well.
Oh, that's
Maybe not
really
to
good.
to the extent, because a lot of these guys they're already working. A lot of we it doesn't take long to find them jobs because of the reputation that we have and the connections that we have in the community. It seems to be pretty easy to get these fellows work
That's good.
for us, and that is good.
So they can work and live there.
Oh, absolutely. We want them to. We want them to be able to save. We have budgeting classes. We have Truist Bank. They'll come in and they teach these classes for us a lot of times. And we want these guys to understand how important it is to save for 2 months' rent, a down payment on something, to have a vehicle. We want to teach them all of those budgeting ideas before they leave.
That's
us.
really good to know. Do you work with the Peak Foundation or the Peak Veterans? Do you have any connection with them at all? I know they're located close by.
Yes, they are close.
But you don't house the same people.
We could.
Okay.
I don't know how to answer. I know that we don't have a partnership.
That's what I was asking you. Do you have a partnership with them? What else does the Union Mission do? We've
My
talked
goodness.
about the food program. We've talked about the thrift store that's very vital to the Union Mission, and the men's shelter. Do you have a place for women?
We do not. I had to make a very, very difficult, one of the hardest decisions I've had to make.
I'm sure.
Because of the economy, because of the overhead, because of, in Charleston there's quite a few places that are doing a really great job in women's addiction.
Right.
Recovery Point's one of them.
And Sojourners, I believe.
Yes, they do a fantastic job, and we just never could fill that women's facility that we had. I mean,
Right.
it was in, without saying compete. We were kind of competing against those other places, and so I had to make the decision to put our resources to where they could count, and that was men's recovery. We had a waiting list for men's recovery.
It would be a tough decision
Yeah,
to make.
it was
but,
hard.
You're doing the best you can.
Yes.
And that's the important thing. So beyond the men's shelter, what else?
We have a Kanawha County licensed preschool. We've got licensed teachers there.
Now, I'm not sure many people know about that.
Yeah, probably not. But in the education world, they really, as far as pre-K is concerned, they use nationally 3 weeks ago, they used our teachers to teach other preschools and how the model should be.
That's fantastic.
It's amazing the work that they're doing with these kids. And at first, when we were putting all this planning together as far as having a Kanawha County licensed preschool, wasn't sure that was going to fit our model as far as a mission is concerned. But it didn't take long to figure out, boy, our teachers are getting involved with these kids. They're also getting involved with the families. Then they're able to see issues, insecurities, and issues that may be happening in the home. So then we can come in and help in that way as well, as far as food or anything like that. And it's a great partnership.
So you say it's licensed through Kanawha County, and so you're connected with Kanawha County
Yes.
school system.
Yes.
And do you know a number of how many students are in the preschool? And you may not know that answer. Forgive me for asking.
No, that's
that if you
okay.
don't. But
I think there's 15.
That's
we
good.
have 15 enrolled right now. I think.
And where is that house?
It's right up at 705 South Park Road.
Okay.
It's actually on the campus of where the children's home
I
used to
thought
be.
that it might. I thought maybe that was the location. So if someone doesn't know about it, how do they make a connection? They just call.
Yeah,
or-
call 925-0366, ask for our preschool department, or ask for me, and I would love to sit down with you. Or I can get you to our director, Adrian Gibbs, who runs that preschool and who does a great job for us there, and she can educate as well.
So do parents have to drop the children off there? You don't have transportation?
Well,
provided?
we have school buses that come by and drop kids
That's
off.
that's for preschool. That's true.
Yeah, and then but yeah, a lot of parents drop by and drop off and pick up.
Well, Jason, what would you say, and I'm sure it would probably be difficult to identify, but what would you say is your number one challenge in today's society or today's world with making sure that the Union Mission is upholding its mission and doing all that it can to fulfill that mission. What would you say is the most challenging part?
Without a doubt, it's raising funds for overhead. Personnel costs are astronomical. We have 70 employees, 70 some, counting our behavioral health center.
So you're a nonprofit. How do you get funded?
We are right now. We're about 60% donor funded. The rest, we have a full-time grant writer that's doing a fantastic job for us.
That would be
writing.
so important
Oh, my
to
goodness.
make sure you have someone on board that can write the grants and be successful with
Yes.
that. But
Yeah.
so you take donations either through the thrift store, and that provides some income. But if someone just wanted to make a donation, leave you in their
Yeah.
will,
Yeah.
those types of things could
Yeah, it happens all
take
the time.
place.
We have all over the East Coast. We have donors from, goodness, Maine to Florida, where West Virginians have moved out of the state, but they still stay in contact with us. It's amazing, and they donate a lot of them donate every single month. A lot of them during the holiday season.
That's wonderful.
And so we've got a great group of folks that really care about what we do and how we do it, and they're a great partnership.
But as costs for operational costs continue to increase,
so.
your need continues to increase.
Never stops.
Never stops.
I was completely blonde and brown-headed until I took this job, and now I'm totally gray, and I'm telling you that's over expenses.
I fully understand what you're talking about. So you've been the CEO since 2017.
Yes, sir.
Before that, you were a minister in
Yes.
a local Baptist church.
Yes.
But you're still fulfilling a mission. And I want to ask you, what do you see the future being? Do you see ever that the need would maybe decrease some? Or, I mean, that would, I guess, be the hope, that we wouldn't need, but I guess there will always be a need.
Yeah, I'd love to be able to sit here and say that things are going to dissipate as far as costs and such, but I think we all know that it's getting harder and harder for working people to even make the ends meet.
Right.
As far as grocery shopping and such, we all deal with that pain of having a grocery bill.
Yeah.
And I'd love to say that I think that's going to end, but Fred, I don't.
You don't
think
see
that's
that
gonna
happening.
No.
What about education? You have children in the preschool. Beyond preschool, there's still a need for after-school programs.
Yeah.
Do you do anything, or do you
don't.
see anything in the future maybe that
No,
you could provide?
it's difficult, Fred, because you're looking at staff costs and
Again.
branching out and again, and so that's kind of where I live. I look at, okay, where's the most bang for our buck, a return on investment for what we're doing
Sure.
to be able to help our community and what those needs are. And so,
Well, if someone wanted to volunteer,
yes, huge part of it.
how does that happen? Whether it's with, I don't know if you can take volunteers in the preschool, perhaps you could, but at the men's shelter, could you take volunteers?
Every
or-
day. Every day we have churches that come in, we have organizations that come in, we have just families that come in and fix food. They'll serve food in our kitchen. We have people through, you can call 925-0366, ask for Joyce Davis.
Okay.
She is our volunteer coordinator, and she will plug you in immediately. Last week we had so many different corporations coming through. The United Way of Caring was last week, and they do such a great job of organizing all these corporations that come in. I couldn't begin to tell you how many volunteers we had on our
Well, that's
campus.
good to know.
Oh, it's great.
That is great to know. So students could be
Oh, my goodness.
volunteering.
Yes.
Maybe community service projects.
Yes, that's a
through
great
the
point.
school system.
Yes.
This would be an avenue that they
Yes.
could get community service credit. I know, and I'm not sure that it still continues, but in my feeble memory, it seems like the Union Mission does something around Thanksgiving. Does that still exist? I don't remember what exactly that was,
Yes.
but seems like there was a turkey trot, or am I right on
Yo,
that?
you're close. You're very
Okay.
close. So we do a drumstick dash.
Drumstick dash. I knew it had to do with a turkey.
Yeah, Thanksgiving morning. That's one of our that's one of
The
our
drumstick
It
dash.
is
Okay.
such a great event for us.
Thanksgiving morning.
It is blown up, and this this has been going on for 13 years, I believe. So but we have anywhere from 1,500 to
Is that right?
1,800 runners.
Oh, goodness.
On Thanksgiving morning, what I think they're doing, I think they're just
They want to make room for all
Yeah,
that
that's exactly right.
turkey and stuffing.
Exactly
and
right.
whatever.
But it's become such a family. I mean, people bring their dogs. People dress up. I mean, it's unbelievable. We have WQBE there, and they're playing music, and it's kind of upbeat, and it's great.
And I always say I'm going to participate in that, but I forgot the name of it. But now I'm glad to know that it's still a thing.
Well,
How-
here,
how
let
do
me
you-
ask you.
how
So
do you
this
s-
year,
okay,
this year, you come be my personal guest. We won't run. We'll just
Well,
hang
I
out and
walk
talk
anyway. I don't
and say hi to everybody and listen to music and high five the runners
it
and all
sounds
that.
like a fun day.
It is a great fun
So is that a way to raise funds? Do you get donations through
More
that?
of a friend raiser, we call it.
Friend raiser.
Yeah, we just
Well, it's an awareness of
Exactly.
the Union Mission and
Yes, sir.
what all you do
Yes, sir.
with the Union Mission. So that will be coming up on Thanksgiving Day.
Yes.
Thanksgiving's a little later this year. It's the last week in November, but that's good to know. It still exists. And where is that? Where does that take place?
Right there in front of the Four Seasons, right there on the boulevard.
At Haddad.
Riverfront,
Haddad
yeah.
Riverfront
Yeah.
Park is where it starts, and it's
Starts there, goes all the way down to the Capitol and back.
Is it a 5K?
Yes, sir.
5K run and walk.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay.
If I
I
did
can
it, I'd
walk. I don't run, but I can walk.
I'd be
But
crawling.
Well, that's good to know that still exists, and that's something to look forward to. What else can you tell us about the Union Mission? I think we've touched on most of the things that I'm aware of. Is there
Yeah.
something else that you would like to make our community aware of that the Union Mission continues to do?
I'd like to talk a little bit about our behavioral health center.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
My first time meeting with recovery people within Union Mission, I'll never forget. We met with a young lady, and she told us that she cannot remember a time in her life, and this was probably 6-7 years ago. I can't remember a time in my life, she said, that I have not been abused.
Wow.
And she was 21 at the time. I almost fell out of my chair because I'd never, I come from an Andy Griffith home, like,
Right.
I'd never witnessed anything like that before, or heard of anything like that before, and I'm like, there's no way we can get to the heart of people if we can't get through the pain, the hurt, the triggers. And so we went to work immediately and put together a behavioral health center. It's a subsidiary of Union Mission,
Okay.
and it's helping out tremendously.
Wonderful. Well, it's good to know that you have that component, and we'll look forward to inviting you back, and we'll talk more about the behavior program
Sure.
that you have. Jason, thank you so much for being our guest today, and thank you for what you do for our community through your work with the Union Mission. And thank you for joining us today on My Community. We look forward to seeing you the next time.